The examination table was cold, sterile, and far too small for human proportions. Dr. Leah Trenton swung her legs slightly, the heels of her boots tapping in a regular rhythm on the metallic base. Above her, a translucent holographic model of her abdomen rotated slowly, glowing in pale blue light. Organs pulsed with annotated data streams. Everything seemed normal until the scan paused. A shrill clicking echoed through the bay. "Hold position," came a voice layered with metallic undertones. Dr. Viral Thren emerged from behind the diagnostics console, his mandibles twitching in irritation. Tall and insectoid, with translucent scales and 4 narrow eyes, he was the embodiment of alien efficiency. He moved with clinical precision and spoke with the authority of someone who'd never been wrong, until now. "There is a growth," he said, his voice clipped. Leah raised an eyebrow. "Define growth." Viral gestured toward the model. "This formation. Posterior cecal bulge. Organ is unclassified. Potential parasitic mass." Leah squinted at the image and snorted. That's just my appendix." Viral paused. "Explain." She shrugged. "It's part of human anatomy. Doesn't do much. We mostly ignore it." A long, uncomfortable silence filled the room. Viral's assistants exchanged glances. One of them, a feathery, avian-like alien named Trenix, whispered something in a dialect Leah didn't understand, but the word primitive was unmistakable. "This structure is biologically inefficient," Viral said. "Your systems require pruning." Leah crossed her arms. "My systems are just fine, thank you. That little guy's been riding shotgun for 34 years without complaint." "We will schedule excision," Viral continued, tapping his console. "Removal is necessary to ensure safety and compatibility for interstellar exposure." "Hold up." Leah hopped off the table. "You're saying I can't stay in this program unless I let you cut out my appendix?" "It is non-functional and poses risk," Viral said. "It also might be the last thing keeping me from getting space dysentery," she shot back. He blinked, confused. "That is not a medical condition listed in our archives." "Exactly." Leah tapped her temple. "Because we evolved to survive everything. From moldy bread to jungle leeches. We don't edit our biology, we deal with it." Viral turned away, clearly dismissing her. "The Galactic Council will be informed. You may submit an appeal." She gritted her teeth, trying not to let her frustration show. "You think just because it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't have value? You ever think maybe we're built to be messy?" He didn't answer. Instead, he tapped the model again and turned to his assistants. "Schedule removal. Prepare containment for the specimen." Leah's voice hardened. "I'm not a specimen. I'm a doctor. And that organ isn't going anywhere." Viral hissed softly, a sound she'd learned to recognize as annoyance. "Your resistance is emotional. Unscientific." She laughed dryly. "Science starts with observation. Not amputation." The tension in the lab sharpened. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then, quietly, Trenix cleared his throat. "Dr. Viral, may I suggest a comparative analysis before removal? The human appendix contains dense lymphoid tissue. Similar in composition to immune reservoirs." Viral turned. "Irrelevant. Its evolutionary context has degraded." "But," Trenix hesitated. "Some recent patterns show that Earth species exhibit rapid microbiome adaptability. It may not be vestigial." Leah looked at him, surprised. "You've been reading the microbiome studies?" Trenix nodded. "They're chaotic. But intriguing." Viral waved a clawed hand. "Enough. We will not base surgical standards on conjecture." Leah stepped closer. "Then let's do more than conjecture. Give me a week. Let me run controlled immunity profiles. Compare them to species without similar structures." "This is a medical facility," Viral said. "Not a sandbox for speculative humans." "No," she countered, this is a research facility. Or did you forget the definition of discovery? That landed. Viral paused, his mandibles twitching slightly. Very well, he said at last. 7 standard days. Prove your anomaly has purpose. If not, it is to be removed. Leah exhaled slowly. Deal. That night, she sat in the tiny workspace assigned to Earth scientists, sipping bad tea and staring at the scans. There was something there. The appendix wasn't just a relic, it pulsed with immune cell activity, reacted to microbial changes, and even exhibited gene upregulation patterns under stress. It was like a fire extinguisher hidden in the dark corner of a very old ship. She ran the data through her own analysis tools, bypassing Viral's locked research protocols. As expected, the Union's physiological models filtered the appendix out automatically, just noise in the system. But chaos had a signature. And humans were nothing if not chaos incarnate. Behind her, the door slid open. Trenix peeked in. You're working late, he said. Trying to save a chunk of meat nobody respects. He stepped inside. You're kind, it resists simplification. That's a polite way to say we're a mess. No, he replied. A mystery. And mysteries are valuable. She smiled. Thanks, Featherface. They reviewed the samples together. Trinix's species had no appendix. Most galactic species didn't. Everything extraneous had been streamlined, pruned away over millennia of genetic refinement. But Leah's skin showed something else. During stress, her appendix lit up with activity, initiating a cascade of immune markers. The same markers that many advanced species no longer possessed. She turned to Trenix. What if this isn't useless at all? What if it's our edge? He stared at the data. Then your body may be harboring the cure for what we cannot even see coming. They didn't notice the security drone blinking red in the corner. Far above them, in Viral's private office, alerts flashed. Unauthorized access. Data breach. Appendix protocol flagged. He leaned in, cold eyes narrowing. So, the anomaly resists. He tapped a command into the console. Then it must be isolated. Leah adjusted the sterile gloves on her hands as the autolab hummed quietly around her. The sample, her appendix-derived tissue, lay suspended in a translucent vial, gently rotating in a nutrient solution. At the molecular level, it pulsed with strange energy, like it was waiting to prove itself. Trenix leaned over her shoulder, his feathers twitching with restrained excitement. Signal amplification consistent across 3 stress simulations, he whispered. No degradation. Leah nodded. Every time we throw a toxin or infection analog at it, it doesn't just survive, it adapts. It's proactive, Trenix said. That's not vestigial. That's a damn command center. She moved to the console and pulled up comparison charts. The appendix tissue wasn't reacting like a bystander. It was orchestrating immune responses, even preemptively signaling pathways that hadn't been activated yet. Something about it anticipated infection. And the kicker? The encoded proteins bore no resemblance to anything in the Union's current immunological catalog. Trenix tapped the side of the screen. There, this protein cluster. That's not human. Leah blinked. Wait. You're right. That's foreign. Symbiotic? Maybe. Or an ancient bacterial colony humanity co-evolved with. Trenix turned to her, eyes wide. Then your species carries a microbiome we've never sequenced. Which might explain why we're still here, she said. We didn't just evolve, we accumulated. A sharp chime cut through the room. Leah looked up. Her research access had just been revoked. On the screen, a red banner blinked, security breach. Unauthorized biological analysis. Session terminated. What the hell, she muttered, just as the doors hissed open. Dr. Viral strode in flanked by 2 Union regulators, tall, gliding beings in armor that shimmered like oil on water. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. You were warned, Viral said coolly. This facility is not yours to exploit. This isn't exploitation, Leah said. It's discovery. You accessed restricted genomic fields, violated cross-species protocol, and interfered with containment orders. She stepped forward. That tissue is part of me. You don't get to dictate what I learn from my own body. Viral raised one clawed finger. You are not above the council. Effective immediately, your research is suspended. The regulators moved toward the samples. Don't you dare touch that, she snapped. It is now classified, Viral said. You are dismissed. Leah's fists clenched. You're not protecting anyone. You're scared of what this might mean. Correct, he replied. Because if your biology is as unstable as your ethics, you are a threat to galactic health. Later that cycle, Leah sat in her quarters staring at the blank wall. The lab was sealed. Her credentials were suspended. But her mind wouldn't stop racing. The appendix wasn't just reactive. It was predictive. It contained a genetic mechanism foreign to the Galactic Union, possibly the byproduct of centuries of human exposure to unchecked biological environments. Earth had always been a mess: bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites. And humans had evolved not to eliminate chaos, but to coexist with it. Her thoughts were interrupted by a discreet knock. Trenix stepped in, feathers ruffled. They're calling it the anomalous human node. They've sealed the records. She gave a bitter smile. Let me guess, they'll quietly run their own tests and take the credit. Maybe, he said softly. But something's happened. She sat up. What? A research vessel on the Velen Edge sent out a distress call. Unknown autoimmune collapse. Their internal systems are attacking themselves. She frowned. No known pathogen? None that match existing libraries. Did anyone survive? 3. They're in stasis. None of the treatments are working. Leah stared at the floor for a moment. You think it's connected? I think your appendix proteins flagged the exact pattern now killing that crew. Her heartbeat quickened. If we could synthesize a serum. Trenix nodded. It might override the collapse. But we can't do it here. They looked at each other. There was only one option. The med bay on the Velen rescue ship was dim, quiet, and pulsing with emergency lights. Leah leaned over the stasis pod, eyes scanning vitals. The alien inside, a crystalline species with transparent veins, was deteriorating fast. Immune markers were spiking erratically, as if the body didn't know what was friend or foe. Leah injected a carefully prepared serum into the stabilizer. Derived from appendix-encoded proteins and cultured human symbiotes, it was untested, but they were out of time. The minutes passed in silence. Then a single tone chirped. One marker stabilized. Then another. The patient's heart rate evened out. Trenix let out a long, shaky breath. You did it. We did it, she said. The second patient was treated. Then the third. Within 6 hours, all 3 were showing signs of recovery. That night, Leah and Trenix sat in the cargo bay, staring at the stars. They won't forgive this, he said. I'm not looking for forgiveness, she replied. Just acknowledgement. He tilted his head. So what now? We take this to the council, she said. Publicly. Let them try to suppress that. You realize Viral will do everything to stop you. She looked at the horizon through the porthole, jaw set. Let him try. Far away, in his private lab aboard the Thessalan station, Dr. Viral stared at the emergency alert streaming across his console. The rescued crew had survived. Impossible. He accessed the bioprofile. And there it was, the protein cluster. The one he dismissed. Now flagged as priority adaptive agent by 3 independent systems. He sat in silence for a long time. Then, with a flick of his claw, he purged Leah's access logs. Every mention of her name removed from the case metadata. He couldn't afford for the Union to see what chaos could achieve. Not yet. The Grand Hall of Inquiry was quiet, too quiet for a place meant to host debate. Dr. Leah Trenton stood at the center of a raised platform beneath an arc of translucent delegates from over 60 species. Their expressions ranged from passive interest to restrained disdain. Beside her, Trenix adjusted his translator band nervously. In front of them, a projection of the human appendix rotated slowly. On the edges, bursts of data showed immune responses, adaptive protein chains, and molecular repair markers. All real. All documented. She took a breath. The appendix is not a flaw. It's an archive, an immunological time capsule that has helped my species survive every biological catastrophe we've faced. And now, it may be your survival too. A ripple passed through the council members. Murmurs, soft flutters, flicking antennae. The display behind her shifted to show the 3 Velen survivors, restored, alert, alive. Viral stood from his elevated podium, his voice sharp. This is anecdotal. A singular result in an uncontrolled environment. It was life or death, Leah said, turning toward him. And we didn't just survive it. We stopped it with what your protocols would have discarded. You violated interspecies containment laws. You weaponized unstable biology. You endangered. I saved lives, she cut in. Something you failed to do with all your sterile perfection. He narrowed his eyes. You gamble with pathogens. We engineer them out. And look where that got you. You edited your systems into fragility. My species? We adapted by embracing uncertainty. Gasps broke out among the assembly. A Ferrani delegate leaned forward, her voice rich and precise. Dr. Trenton, are you suggesting the appendix is strategic? It's opportunistic, Leah replied. It stores bacteria. It manages microbial surges. And under stress, it signals protective responses that aren't even in our DNA, they're bacterial. Our immunity isn't just us. It's them. Ancient allies we didn't even know we had. The hall fell still again. A new projection appeared, highlighting a side-by-side breakdown of immune collapse in the Velen case and the activation of the appendix-linked serum. The protein sequences were unmistakably absent in all other species' databases. A voice spoke from the shadows. If this is true, then human immunity is partially foreign. All eyes turned to the speaker, an elderly Nari biohistorian, hunched but clear-eyed. Leah nodded. We don't operate like your species. We accumulate, adapt, absorb. Every environment we touch becomes part of us. We don't purify, we integrate. The Nari sat back slowly. Perhaps chaos is your evolutionary tool. Viral was losing ground, and he knew it. He slammed a claw against the podium. Irrelevant. Biological chaos is not a virtue. It is undisciplined. Dangerous. Their very presence could destabilize our genetic ecology. A sharp tone rang through the chamber. Counselor Ethis, a pale, four-eyed being with gill lines etched in gold, stood. Dangerous, Dr. Viral, is dismissing a survival mechanism because it doesn't align with your aesthetics. Viral stiffened. You would side with her? I side with the evidence, Ethis said. And the evidence is compelling. Leah glanced at Trenix. He gave a slight nod. They were winning. Ethis turned to her. If given full research access, can this immune adaptation be replicated? Yes. Not just replicated, tailored. This isn't about human biology. It's about how biology learns. And the implications, another delegate asked. Leah didn't hesitate. We may be sitting on a blueprint for universal adaptive immunity. There was silence. Then the vote. One by one, holographic seals blinked green. Approved. 2 weeks later, Leah walked through the newly commissioned Intergalactic Bioadaptation Center. Housed in what used to be the lowest research wing of the station, it was now a thriving hub of chaos-driven science. Every wall pulsed with overlapping genomes, experimental compounds, microbial maps. It was beautiful. Raw. Alive. Trinix caught up with her near the sequencing bay. We just logged our 50th species contributor. No one's ever shared microbial data like this. That's because no one wanted to admit how much of themselves wasn't themselves, Leah said. He chuckled. You've started a movement. She glanced through the glass. Inside, 2 human interns were cataloging microbial species found in various non-terrestrial foods. One sample, something retrieved from a fungus grown in the acidic mines of Brelk 7, had already begun interfacing with Appendix cultures. The implications were staggering. From behind her, a familiar voice echoed. You turned your body into a flag. Leah turned slowly. Viral stood at the doorway, uninvited. Come to donate a few organs? She asked flatly. He ignored the jab. You won. I underestimated your kind. She tilted her head. No, you didn't. You saw us clearly. You just hated what you saw. He was silent for a beat. Then, you think unpredictability is strength. I know it is, she replied. Because no matter how advanced your systems get, the universe stays messy. And we're built for mess. He looked around. So this is where medicine goes now? She smiled. It's not medicine anymore. It's evolution, on demand. He said nothing more. Just turned and left, his posture stiff but slower than before. Later, Leah sat alone in her lab. Her own skin glowed on the screen, Appendix active, still humming with the same adaptive energy. A curious alien student stepped in, hesitant. Dr. Trenton? Yeah? Why do humans even have that organ? She smiled, leaning back in her chair. Because we never stopped needing it. Even when we forgot why. She clicked the lights off. The lab dimmed, pulsing with life. And the appendix, long ignored, long misunderstood, glowed like a silent engine still turning in the dark. The doors to Lab 12 hissed open, revealing controlled pandemonium. Dozens of cultures blinked under thermal lights. AI clusters hummed as they ran simulations at speeds no human could follow. Bacteria glowed in rainbow hues. A viral construct hissed in its glass cell as it adapted, again. Dr. Leah Trenton stepped in, scanning the data wall as her assistant Rena fed fresh sequences into the compiler. Her team was trying something impossible, mapping adaptive behavior itself, not through genes alone, but through how genes responded to disorder. Status? Leah asked, dropping her bag on the nearest bench. We've got 3 confirmed matches between appendix-triggered proteins and cross-species immunity surges, Rena replied without looking up. One of them survived sterilization environments we designed to suppress regeneration. Leah moved to the tank. That shouldn't be possible. That's the thing, Rena said. It's not reacting to the pathogen. It's reacting to the possibility of mutation. Like it knows where the threat will evolve before it happens. Leah stared at the readout. The theory was wild. This wasn't immunity. This was foresight. The human appendix wasn't just a failsafe, it was an evolutionary antenna tuned to chaos frequencies. She tapped the interface, overlaying the new protein structures. Rerun this with Trenix's data from the Zalari hive collapse. Already did. The proteins pre-coded for 2/3 of the cascade. Before exposure. Leah stepped back. It's a predictive response engine. Based on environmental memory, Rena added. Then what we're seeing isn't a biological anomaly. It's a survival archive, Leah said. Encoded into an organ everyone thought was useless. Before she could reflect further, her comm implant chimed. Incoming transmission, high priority, Galactic Union Ethics Board. She stepped into a private booth. The screen shimmered into clarity, revealing Counselor Ethos. You've been busy, Dr. Trenton. Leah didn't blink. You asked for results. I'm delivering them. You've also triggered 26 separate research violations across species boundaries. With consent. Still violations. I'm not here to tick boxes. I'm here to stop another Velen incident. Ethos leaned forward. There's a risk, Leah. If what you're building spreads without controls. It won't, she said. That's why we're mapping it now. To understand it before it escapes us. Then you'll need help, Ethos said. And oversight. She hesitated. Meaning? We're elevating your lab to emergency tier 3. That puts it under council supervision, but gives you cross-species immunity to finish this work. And Viral? He's been reassigned. To education. Leah almost laughed. That's cruel. Ethos gave the ghost of a smile. He'll learn humility. Or fail trying. By the end of the cycle, Leah's lab became something more. Galactic research vessels sent samples daily. Not just pathogens, memories. Forgotten immune structures, lost evolutionary branches, fragments of extinct defenses. She wasn't building a cure. She was building a response library tailored to chaos, species by species. The center of it all was the appendix sample, her original tissue, still alive in biostasis, pulsing with unreadable data. You know, Trenix said, joining her one night, this whole thing started because you told an alien doctor you didn't know what your appendix was for. She grinned. I didn't. And technically, I still don't. But I know what it does. Predictive immunity, he said. What we once called fiction. No, Leah corrected. What we called human. But as breakthroughs accelerated, something unexpected emerged. One sample, retrieved from the ruins of a crashed scout ship near the Singularity Spiral, carried a pathogen with no origin, no family, no logic. It didn't infect. It undermined. Species exposed to it experienced complete immune silence. Their bodies stopped fighting. Stopped responding. The appendix proteins did the same. What the hell is this? Leah whispered, watching her cultures go dark one by one. Trenix looked grim. I don't think this is natural. They ran trace sequences, searching for anything, structure, motive, origin. What they found was worse. Buried inside the pathogen was a protein signature that looked familiar. Too familiar. It's a mimic, Rena said. It copied the adaptive structure. Copied, my appendix? Leah said. Trenix nodded slowly. Someone's trying to reverse engineer what you created. It wasn't just evolution anymore. It was sabotage. Leah activated emergency protocols, isolating the lab and alerting Ethos. Within hours, security drones surrounded the facility. Ethos appeared on screen. Do you know who sent it? No, Leah said. But they used a dead vessel and buried the code. This was planted. Then the stakes have changed. They were already high, she said. Now they're personal. Ethos leaned forward. Leah, if someone is weaponizing adaptive immunity, we're facing a threat that anticipates every defense we have. Leah nodded. That's why we have to move faster. You can't contain this alone. I'm not alone, she said. I have chaos on my side. In the following weeks, the lab developed a mirror system, one that monitored for mimicry. Not to stop it, but to confuse it. We're going to fight fire with distortion, Leah said to her team. Unpredictability as a weapon. How do you code for that? Rena asked. By not coding, Leah said. By growing. Training cells to mutate before exposure. Teaching them to lie. It was risky, untested, and entirely human. It worked. The mimic pathogen folded under its own assumptions. It couldn't adapt to a target that changed its shape faster than it could copy. And the human appendix, what everyone once considered an evolutionary joke, was the heart of the defense. Later, in front of a live galactic broadcast, Leah stood beside her team as they unveiled the Chaos Genome Initiative, a new branch of medical science rooted not in perfection, but in survival through flexibility. This isn't a human victory, she said. It's a reminder. Life doesn't thrive because it's neat. It thrives because it's messy. And the next generation of medicine starts here, not in the clean rooms of the past, but in the unpredictable folds of something as small, as misunderstood, as an appendix. Applause erupted. And in labs across the galaxy, new samples were sent. Not for analysis, but for integration.